The ebb and flow of the tide brings vast riches to this maritime lowland plain. With each tide, the sea floods the lagoons, mixing salt water with the fresh water of the rivers. Warmed by the sun, these brackish shallows and the land surrounding teem with life. It's a paradise for the birds, mammals, and fish that thrive in and on these calm waters. The native Micmacs called it Kouchibouguac. Kouchibouguac, Kouch as it's known, is a diverse ecosystem. Predominantly second-growth Acadian forest, the park is intersected by two large rivers, the St. Louis and the Kouchibouguac. The rivers wind their way to the sea, cutting through giant peat bogs such as La Tourbière and Mococ Fontaine. At their estuaries, the rivers open into the shallow lagoons of St. Louis and Kouchibouguac bays before flowing into the sea. Surrounding the lagoons are 9 salt marshes and a chain of barrier islands that run for 25 kilometers along the New Brunswick coast. Established in 1969, Kouchibouguac National Park is at the northern end of Northumberland Strait, which separates New Brunswick from Prince Edward Island. The park is 238 square kilometers. Its variety of habitats makes it unique. The park owes its existence to the chain of narrow islands that dot its eastern border. The sandy barrier islands protect the waters and lands of Kouchibouguac and make them friendly to small creatures. These barrier islands and their numerous species are fragile, extremely susceptible to human interference, and yet they are resilient when subjected to the forces of nature. The sands are shifted by coastal currents and winter storms, and islands change shape and even location. When they reform, the life cycle continues. The shifting sands of the barrier islands enclose enormous estuaries and keep them safe from the sometimes rough waters of Northumberland Strait. Life in the estuaries is under constant scrutiny by park scientists.
What we do is we conduct beach seining surveys up and down the coast to determine what the natural population of fishes and certain invertebrate taxa are along these environments. By far the most dominant fish in terms of biomass and numbers is something called the three-spined stickleback, and it is ubiquitous. You'll find as many here in this environment as you can count eelgrass blades. They're everywhere. There are actually 4 species of sticklebacks that we find in this system, and combined those 4 are by far the main food source for anything that comes into this estuary.
Common terns can be seen here in the thousands, diving into the water all around Kouch, catching and feeding on sticklebacks. The spiny fish also attract the gray and harbor seals that migrate north along the Atlantic coast in spring to breed and feed here. A colony of more than 300 stays on the warm sandbars until fall, when they head south to the Carolinas. The delicate health of the estuary is dependent on the quality of the marine food chain. Greg Klassen and his team are studying the plankton and grasses that offer food and shelter to aquatic life.
Eelgrass forms the beds in the vast majority of the shallows here. These environments are kind of like huge supermarkets in a desert. And the sticklebacks tend to use the eelgrass beds to shade themselves, to hide from predators. Now, there's a bit of a problem there because they themselves are hunting their own predators, and sometimes they have to leave the eelgrass into open patchy environments. And it is at times like that, when they come closer to the surface, when they come out of the eelgrass beds, that the terns come into their own. You'll see them circling around, and every once in a while you'll see one just tuck its wings in and go diving into the water like there was no tomorrow. And the local common name for stickleback is étrangle chat, which translated means something like cat strangler. Sticklebacks have very, very nasty, spiny fins, both on the dorsal fin and on the pectoral fins. And they stick those out when they're eaten, and it becomes a rather nasty little meal.